What's going on, everybody? You already know what it is. It's your boy Pitts. Pitts and Point Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live through the eye of the tiger. It's myself, your host, Pitts, Coach Bernard Clark Jr., the Tiger. That's what this show's all about. What's going on, Coach?
Not much, man. Just licking my wounds, getting ready for the next one.
Man, so, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Last week, you guys played against a very good team in West Virginia University. How did you feel about the team's performance against West Virginia?
First half, I was satisfied. I was happy with what we did in the first half. I thought we played hard. I thought we started fast, and I thought we were physical. And I thought we finished in the first half pretty daggum good. The guys got after it. It went in at halftime down 10-3. And so I was happy with the first half. Second half, not so much. So it was one of those situations where I think West Virginia kind of went in at halftime and said, I think we can run the ball on these guys, and let's run the ball. And that's what they started doing. So they ended up with like 411 yards rushing, so they got after us pretty daggum good. It kind of wore us down a little bit. And we just didn't play as well in the second half. And again, it goes back to, wasn't upset about the score, about the yards or anything like that. I was upset when we started missing tackles, when we started busting assignments. We missed 27 tackles on defense. We had 25 missed assignments on offense. And when you're playing an opponent like that, you can't do those things. You have absolutely no shot of winning when you're making those types of mistakes. And so that's where we ended up, with a 45-3 game.
When you say, you guys had 27 missed tackles against West Virginia, was it more of, just not wrapping up?
Not being able to wrap up. Just not bringing our feet, diving at legs as opposed to bringing our feet and wrapping guys up and doing the thing you're supposed to do when you're missing those kind of tackles, trying to tackle those running backs. And I thought their running back and their quarterback was very good runners. Did a great job just running through arm tackles. We were arm tackling guys, like I said, diving at legs. And you got to run through guys. You got to make sure you're running through guys, grabbing cloth, bringing them to the ground. And those things become extremely important, especially late in the game when you're tired and it starts wearing on you a little bit. You got to make sure you're bringing your feet and doing things in the proper way. And we just weren't doing those things.
And I guess, that kind of, led into my second question was, what were some of the takeaways or the lessons learned, from that matchup? You talked about the 27 missed tackles and their ability to rush the ball. And then it was the turnovers. I think you guys had 4 for 123 yards.
Yeah, we did a good job, man. We, as far as, taking the ball away from them, we forced 4 fumbles. So for our defense to force 4 fumbles against those guys, we thought that was outstanding. I think it was 3 in the first half and 1 in the second half. But we turned it over twice. We gave it to them 2 times in the areas where they end up scoring. So, again, you can't make those kinds of mistakes. And I'm not talking about schematic mistakes. That's the thing that people get wrapped up in as well. How was the game plan? I'm not talking about the game plan. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about stuff that you can control. I'm talking about basic. I'm talking about fundamentals. I'm talking about technique. I'm talking about making sure you know where your run fits are, making sure that you're using the proper footwork to make a block, putting your head on the outside. All those things you're being taught and all the things you're being coached, and you got to carry them over to the field. Those are things that I'm talking about. And that's why we ended up losing the game, because West Virginia was good. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we didn't execute the abilities and the techniques that we have at the time we needed to do those things.
Absolutely. And, one of those things, our wow last week was a distraction. Mm-hmm. How did you feel that your team fared in regards to our wow, given the atmosphere that they were in?
Well, I think they did a great job when it came to that. They weren't distracted at all. When we went into it, I think they loved it more than anything else. I think it was about 60, 70,000 people. All of them had on gold jerseys or yellow jerseys, whatever color it is, and they were loaded up in there. And we had that little smidgen of red where Robert Morris was. But I mean, I think our guys loved it. I mean, they weren't distracted by that. It was just a situation where we just started tackling poorly and started busting a lot of assignments on offense, and that's what we ended up losing the game. But other than that, I think they handled it very well. I mean, going into that hostile environment and playing hard and playing tough and getting after it. You know, again, you're talking about 57 new guys along with the other guys trying to come together. And that was a tough situation. So I thought they handled that extremely well. So the distractions weren't a problem at all.
How is your team feeling physically and mentally after last week's game?
It's hard to say. To be honest with you, Pitch, I'm being honest with you. I didn't think we practiced well yesterday. I didn't think we practiced well today. I think because they did have a successful or what they consider a successful first half, someone may think that they've arrived, you know, and that becomes a problem because now you start listening to your people on campus. Well, you played those guys tough, and I was not understanding. It doesn't make a difference. You know, you lost the football game. You gave up 45 points. You only scored 3 points. You gave up a ton of yards rushing. You got no yards on offense. So, again, we got a long way to go as a football team, and I hope our guys understand how far we have to go as a football team. And there are no moral victories. There's no consolation prizes. You know, you don't get a prize for second place. You know, it's just one of those things to me where people get caught up in, well, they played hard, they played well. That was kind of the question they asked me after the game was over. I said, I'm not built like that. I don't care about consolation prizes. I don't care about moral victories. I'm not built like that. We lost the football game, regardless if it's an FBS school or FCS school. When you lose, you lose. That's what it boils down to.
And I don't know. I feel a little conflicted with Tracy's "Let's Go West Virginia," and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Tracy, although she lives in West Virginia, Tracy is a Bowie State Bulldog.
Oh wow!
We don't root for nobody else, Tracy.
Wow, that is messed up. That is messed. You know what? For a minute there, I thought it was Tracy Plungus. You know, Coach Plungus' old wife.
Oh, right.
Because she used to work in West Virginia, so I thought it may have been her. Wait. Is she from West Virginia? Is Tracy from West Virginia?
No, she moved to West Virginia.
Oh, so she just hyping them up for no reason. Okay, I got
it. Tracy being a student athlete herself, because she was a cheerleader, one of the dynamic cheerleaders on Bowie State when I was there at Bowie. So shout out to you, Tracy, for tuning in. Coach, before we talk about this week's opponent, Youngstown State, what's our wow for this week?
Our wow for this week is discernment. And the reason I brought that up is the ability to understand what happens to people and to me. And that's what I'm trying to help our guys understand. What happened to us on Saturday, understand that we didn't get the job done. We didn't do the fundamentals and the technique that we needed. So that's what happens. And on the counterpart of that, what happened with West Virginia, they won the game because they did what they were supposed to do in order to win the football game. So having discernment and understanding as I go through the week, why is this happening to me? Some of our guys are, why am I not getting on the travel squad? Why am I not starting? Well, pay attention to the guy in front of you. Pay attention to what's happening, and you'll see why. Now pay attention to what's happening to you as an individual. What are you doing to put yourself in a better position? Don't get upset and start, you know what we talked about last week, comparisons is the killer of all joy. You know, you're comparing yourself to what he's playing, I'm not playing. Forget about that. Look at what's happening to you and look what's happening to him. And you'll figure out exactly why we have him on the team and why we have him on travel squad and why he's playing and you're not playing. And again, it all boils down to, and you know, you hear from parents all the time, my son's not getting a chance, coach don't like him. Look, it has nothing to do with a coach not liking your child. It has to do with W's and L's, period. You want to make sure you're putting the right guys on the field in order to win a football game. And so when it comes to discernment, that's what I want our guys to understand.
Got you. So today we were on D2. Last week we had distraction. This week we got discernment.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the players that travel, how is that decision made?
It's made on a lot of different things. Obviously, it's usually the two deep guys, you know, first and second team. But the other one's based on special teams. You know, who can help us mostly on special teams? And again, you got some guys that play all 4 special teams. And you guys that just have a special, they play 1 or 2 special teams, but they may be like the third guy in the wide receiver room. Gotcha. So it's a situation where we may take him because he may go to field the wide receiver, but he's going to play a special teams or 2 for us, and he's a backup on those things also. And it also comes down to what kind of effort are they giving while they're on scout team special teams. You know, you put a guy on scout team special team, he's giving all-out effort. Okay, wait a minute, this guy, You just got to maybe do something to come Saturday. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but the most important thing is the fact, what kind of effort are you giving when you're not the starter? What are you
Yes.
looking at when you're not the starter? Are you giving up now? Are you going down the scout team and you're just not playing hard anymore? You're just kind of going through the motions, but you're still expecting the coach to take you on a trip. Because I tell the guy, I watch all the film. I don't just watch offense and defense. I watch the scout team players. I watch the starting defense, the starting offense. I watch all the film. I watch special teams. I want to make sure everybody understands exactly where they're supposed to be. I guess one of the prime examples would be David Schwarzentrooper, the young man that was on our team last year. His mom used to watch the
Yeah.
show. That's how Dave was. Dave was a special teams monster for us. And Dave was one of those guys, I think he only played 2 special teams, but on kickoff, he was one of the first guys down there. Wasn't one of the fastest, but one of the first guys down there, head hunting, trying to take guys out. And that's how he got himself on the trip. That's why he was always traveling with us, because he was a guy that's going to give you 100%, no matter what it was. You put him on defense, he's going to give you 100%. And originally, the young man came here as a wide receiver. He went from wide receiver to running back, and then he transferred and he played safety while he was there. And then he transferred back to us. We moved from safety to linebacker. But the guy just gave unbelievable effort. But he's a prime example of a guy that's going to give you everything he has when he's on that football field. And that's why he was able to travel. That's what we're looking for now. Guys that are going to give you everything they have, not just on the game day, but in practice. A lot of guys don't understand, well, coach, I'm a gamer. Well, you're never going to get to the game if you don't practice hard. So I'm never going to see you as a gamer because you're not getting it done in practice. So those things become extremely important.
Youngstown last week played Mercyhurst, and they were victorious in their game. What are some of the key strategies the team is focusing on for the game against Youngstown State University?
Right now, to be totally honest with you, Pitch, it's more about us, and what we didn't do against West Virginia. We're trying to make sure we'll execute the plays we need to execute. Got to make sure we're tackling our run fits of where they need to be at. Youngstown has always had the reputation of being a hard-nosed, tough, tough team. It's a tough town from what everybody's, Youngstown's a tough town. That's the reputation they have. And that's the kind of football team they have. I mean, they get after you. This defense is extremely solid. Probably 2 of the biggest D tackles we've seen in a long time. Pretty much more size than West Virginia had at the D tackle spot. And they got guys that run extremely well. They got a receiver, number 4. The young man's unbelievable. Great receiver. That quarterback's not only a nice thrower, but he had 145 yards rushing last week. So he's also a heck of a runner. And the last time we played him back in 23, even though it was called back, I think he broke like a 65-yard touchdown against us. So we're talking about a football team that's capable, a well-coached football team, and guys that get after it, and they're an extremely tough football team.
Absolutely. And I guess my question kind of alludes back to something you said earlier. The next question, that I have for you is, how is the team building on the lessons learned from last week against West Virginia, taken into the game this week against Youngstown State? And you alluded earlier that to your likings that they didn't have a good practice.
Yeah, they did. We haven't practiced well the last couple of days, and it could be me just being hard, just expecting more. But it's just one of those situations. I'm not seeing what I need to see in a team that thinks they need to improve, a team that believe that they need to play better, need to do some better things. And again, it's never everyone on the team. Don't get me wrong. It's never everyone on the team, but it's enough of them to where it's standing off. It was one of those situations at the end of practice I couldn't take it anymore. I just told them to get off the field. It's just leave the field. Don't want you out here. It's just one of those things. Go home, take a shower. Let's come back tomorrow. Let's have a good practice. So it's one of those situations, but I want them to understand, still love them, still want them to succeed, but we have to practice with a purpose. We can't just go out on the field and just go through the motions. I kind of feel like we're just going through the motions and not understand what we need to do. I don't need rah-rah doing practice. I don't need, hooping and hollering doing practice, but we need fundamentals. We want to make sure our fits where they need to be at. We literally had to make the linemen walk through the steps in order for them to get to blocks. So stuff like that they're taking for granted that it's going to come and they're not doing it in practice. Or you got a scout team guy who just continually letting the offensive lineman reach him, who's not giving him a look. And so you're losing your mind about that. It's one of those situations. You got a DB. Hey, we want you to cover the receiver, but be smart. Don't land on top of him. Play the ball. Don't play the receiver. But he's dragging him on the ground. Stuff like that kind of gets after you a little bit. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to go out there and wind this thing up in the right fashion and get things ready for Saturday.
And, I can only imagine. I think I probably, not me personally, but as a team, been, told to leave the field because we clearly wasn't meeting the expectations that coach had for us. And a lot of times, those are things that the players themselves correct within each other, right? Going into the locker room, you know, being vocal and the reasons, and we're not being given a day off because we've earned it. Obviously we're not looking good out there and challenging each other. Given that, how do you think the morale of your team is, being as though that you sent them home early from
Well,
practice?
I'm hoping I'm hoping that our leaders on the team, guys like Trey Woods, guys like Pat McDonald, guys like Zach Tanner. I'm hoping these guys step up and have a conversation with these guys and help them understand it. We have 11 more games. Don't get me wrong. That's why they call it a season. So even though we lost last week, we still can get ready for the next one.
Yeah.
They got to understand that. But in order for us to be successful, we have to practice with a purpose. We can't just go out there and go through the motions and expect Youngstown or anybody else to just come and lay down for us because we want to win a football game. Winning's not easy. I don't care who you are. I don't care what level you're at. Winning is not easy. You're trying to get guys to come together and understand the purpose behind what you're doing, and they're pushing themselves in every direction in order to achieve those things. So I'm hoping those guys, will have a conversation with our guys and help them understand, hey, guys, we're not practicing well enough. We're not doing this well enough. We're not studying film well enough. So all those things come into play when you're trying to win a football game. But I'm hoping those guys stand up and represent what we believe in as a team. And that's Ubuntu. I am because we are. Just want to make sure we are where we're supposed to be.
Last week also, not only did you have a host of new players out there, but you also had a host of a new coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel that the new coaching staff weathered and fared in the game against West Virginia?
We did a good job, but there were times where I didn't feel we were getting offensively. I didn't think we were getting personnel on the field fast enough. Defensively, we were trying to make switches because they were a fast-paced team, so we were trying to make switches when they were making switches, and sometimes that wasn't getting done. So we had a few glitches here and there, but we straightened those glitches out by the second half. As a coaching staff, and did the things we were supposed to do. And we went at each other a little bit. That's the nature of the beast. I don't know them; they don't know me. But when I say went at it, I'm not talking about we were dog.
Right. Nah, right.
I mean,
I understand.
I'm letting your viewers know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It was a situation where it was just one of those things where we're just kind of figure each other out, figure out what's going on. Because even though Coach McCrenos, who's the defensive coordinator now, he's been there for the last 2 years. He hasn't been a defensive coordinator for the last 2 years. So it's his first time calling the game and me watching the game and thinking, okay, what's going on? What are we doing? So those questions come into play. And, we got some other little toys on the sideline. We got the iPads now where we can look through stuff. And so the coaches have those things. So it's a little bit different when they can go to the sideline and see those things, see those differences and things. So we had a few more things to play with. So overall, I'd say as a coaching staff, I'd give us a B, C plus B, just because I feel like we still got a ways to go. And again, it's more about getting our guys ready to go when it comes to fundamentals of run fits and tackling and bringing your feet and stuff like that, and making sure our head's on the outside as opposed to on the inside when we're going to make a block, and making sure when the quarterback starts scrambling, our receivers know now it's time to get in the scramble drill, not block too early because he hasn't tucked the ball away. So all those things have to come together. We have to start pushing ourselves in the right direction.
Absolutely. And yes, to all the viewers and listeners, understanding that, a lot of times when there are arguments on the sideline, it's not always confrontational to a point. It's more passion within the game. And when you have passion on passion, it's going to lead to some shouting. And honestly, I prefer to see it, right? Because then that means you care. That means that, you're sold, your feet is planted where you are. You're not looking beyond. You're living in the moment. And, those things should take place, especially, if you feel that your team is not performing to the ability that that your team can and should perform to. So I understand, Coach. Yes, let's clear that up because, football nowadays, as soon as some people see, the shouting and arguing, they almost and already 100% say, look, chaos, discord. But not going to let that be like last week's word of the week. It's not a distraction.
No.
It's passion.
That's exactly what it is, and that's what. And again, and you put it exactly right. That's exactly what it is. And as long as you have an understanding with your staff, and as long as you guys understand each other, and you haven't disrespected each other. Period. When you start disrespecting each other in the office, then you know it's going to lead to the
Oh yeah,
sideline. But we're not even at that level. We're not disrespecting each other in the office, let alone disrespecting each other on the sideline. So passion comes out. Guys are gonna get loud, just the way it is, more than anything else. It's just, again, like I said, as long as don't reach to the point of disrespect, I'm fine with it. They're fine with
yeah.
it. Everybody's good to go.
I know you said that you're not necessarily focused on Youngstown State this week. You're more so focused on yourself and your team going into this matchup. What are I know one of the things we always talk about was a quick start offensively, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did we fare within getting starting quickly offensively last week? And can that, or if you did not, how can we translate that to a better quick start for this week?
Well, the positive thing about it, we did not start with a quick start, and we didn't start a quick start on defense either. We let them go right down and score on defense. We went 3-and-out on offense, but we stopped them the second time, and then on the second time around with offense, we moved the ball a little bit further. So it was a situation where we didn't start fast like we wanted to, but I do believe, because you go back and watch film, there was a mistake here. There was a miss here. There was a head placement here on offense. We got a chance to, if the ball doesn't get batted down, it hits the receiver wide open. We keep marching the ball down the field. So things like that happen, and so the ball gets batted down. Now we got to tell the offensive lineman, hey, got to get his hands down. So if he goes to pick his hands up, you take his legs out, brings his hand down, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So there are things like that you're letting them know we're an inch away. And and I know football is a game of inches, and I mean inches too.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
when you don't put your head outside and you put it inside and you don't bring your feet and stuff like that. So those are the things that were there. So as far as starting fast in that way, we knew exactly what we wanted to do. We just didn't get it moving in the direction we wanted to get it moving in. And on the first series of defense, just didn't tackle well. It was a situation where, and on top of that, had misalignments. There were certain things we were doing, playing too far off to the receivers. Take a 5-yard hitch, they turn into a 10-yard gain. We miss a tackle. So things like that were happening. So those are things you can fix schematically. Now they have to fix things as far as making the tackle and putting themselves in position to make the tackle.
Absolutely. And, before I let you go, Coach, I wanted to talk about it didn't happen in your game, or at least I didn't see it happen in your game. But it's a new rule in college football this year. And there was some controversial calls. And when I say controversy, I mean in which the calls adjusted the outcome of the game, right? So when we talk about now, whenever a player's helmet come off, right, and they're engaged on the block, is there a time frame or a span of time that a player has before they disengage to not be penalized?
Well, once his helmet goes, and it's always been a rule. That rule that's during he has been a rule for like the last 3 years. Once his helmet comes off, he has to stop.
Mm.
Yeah, he can't. If he's in the crowd, he's got to get out of the crowd. He can't continue to make a tackle. He can't. He has to stop. That's been a rule for since the concussion thing started. It's been a rule for like the last 3 years. So yeah, that's been a rule for a minute. So I know a player you're talking about. The young man was already engaged in everything, and his helmet came off. Well, at that time, he has to walk away. He has to pull himself out of it and stop.
And for me, I try to put myself in that position and as a competitor, right? And like for me, I'm trying to think. It gotta be really hard to
Very.
disengage and knowing that my assignment is you, right?
Yep.
And I'm already engaged with you, and you knock my helmet off. And
Mm-hmm.
now at that moment, it seems like instantaneously I have to put my hands up.
You do. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that's the rule. Because I'm like you too. If I lose my helmet, I got
Yeah,
you wrapped. If I got
yeah.
you wrapped up in a tackle, chances are I ain't letting you go.
Right. Play don't stop for me. I just lost a part of my equipment.
Yeah. So I'm with you. Better strap it on a little tighter. That's what I tell them. Strap that chin strap a little tighter so you don't lose your helmet. So
this Saturday is going down. Robert Morris University, Youngstown State. Looking forward to a different outcome. Definitely got this week's word of the week. And for anyone who tuned in later, and when you hear me say wow, wow is the word of the week. Coach has a word of the week every single week. Last week, our word was distraction. This week, our word is discernment. And you'll learn and you'll notice also that as we go through the season, all of the word of the weeks tie in together, right? And the word of the weeks do not specifically only relate to the translation of the physical appearance on the football field. It also relates to off the field, and it's helping them become better young men, fathers, sons, and teammates. And I love it. I love it. You know, I'm looking for the word of the week every week, and you know, we on D2 this week. We had
Yep.
distraction last week. We got discernment this week. So
Yep.
I appreciate you, Coach.
I appreciate you when you explain it. On point, at the top of the list, making things happen as Pitts can only do. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything. And again, now, last Saturday we didn't hook up. You were tied up. I was tied up. So we got to see if we can make it happen this Saturday. So hopefully we'll get this thing back together on Saturday. So
no, we lock in this Saturday for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, let's do it. Let's go, Bobby Mo.
Y'all know what it is, man. It's your boy Pitts. Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitts Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live through the Eye of the Tiger. I'm your host, Pitts, the greatest of all guests, Coach Bernard Clark Jr., through the Eye of the Tiger, a.k.a. Hint, Wink, Wink, he's Tiger. Y'all know what it is. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. NFL starts tomorrow. It don't get no better. We full swing in football now.
Wait a minute. Before we leave, come on, baby. Sunday.
You talking about the Jets? The U. I wasn't going. You know what's funny, man? You know what's funny?
I know we got a whole lot. I know we got a whole lot of time, but
no. Listen, I didn't want to take away from Robert Morris and bring it up because I was going to ask you. Listen, your boys came out against Notre Dame, and they said, I don't know what y'all been reading, but over here, we about that action, boss.
100%. 100%. I'm never gonna be that guy that says the U is back. I'm gonna say they perform well, and I'm sure the coaches as well as everybody else understand they still got a ways to go. But I like what they did on Sunday.
Physical. I mean, physical.
Yes.
To me, it looked like it wasn't the old U, but it had the remnants of it.
I got you.
The running. Oh my goodness! Like
I got you.
They was running with authority.
Well, what I love was at the end of the game, the way that D line got after it when they needed to get after it. That's what, when they had to get a sack, when they had to get to the quarterback, they made it happen. So again, I gotta mention them because they're my boys, and I just want to consider. I want them to continue to do well, continue to push themselves in the right direction. So.
I mean, listen, I can't say, listen, you are a Hall of Fame of the University of Miami.
No, not University of Miami. Not University of Miami.
What a Hall
of Fame.
Either way you go, you got Hall of Fame behind your name.
I appreciate it.
At the University of Miami, the U.
Yes. They're the reason I got it, but there's no doubt, man. But again, I had to mention them just a little bit. I know we got to roll, but let's make it happen. But again,
I'm gonna find like how you feel. You like it's the way y'all do it. Like it was so perfect just now. It was like, yeah.
No doubt.
Like, them thumbs just connect automatically.
Let's make it happen, baby. Let's make it happen. But again, like you said, this Saturday, Youngstown versus Robert Morris University. Please come on out, check us out. We're planning on playing a good game, and I hope we can do what we're capable of doing so we can come out with a victory.
Let's get it. Hey, listen, tune in Wednesdays, 8:30, Coach and myself. Saturdays, I'm going to try to connect with you guys on game day. Check us out this Saturday. I'll post the time. I'll shoot the link. Y'all already know what it is. Let's go. Pitts and Push, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV.